Hello and welcome. This is Rage Quitters Anonymous, and we're so glad you've decided to join us. I'm Miranda.
I'm Cameron. Have you ever thrown your controller across the room, shut off your PC mid-game, screamed into the void because you just can't get past a level?
We get it. We've all been there. Welcome to Rage Quitters Anonymous, where we dive deep into the moments that make us rage quit and still come back for more.
Whether you're a casual gamer or a competitive pro, join us every episode as we explore the science, art, and chaos of rage quit.
And hit that subscribe button unless you're already too mad to listen. So today's episode is all about game mechanics. Specifically, we're going to talk about those ones that just make you want to scream. I'm assuming you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, those moments where you're just like, is it me? Am I just bad? But then you realize, no, the game is actually just evil.
I can totally relate to that. And honestly, don't get us wrong, we do love a good challenge, okay? It's not about the game being difficult, but there's a difference between it being hard and it being just completely unfair and too frustrating to play.
So today we're talking about those exact purposeful mechanics that developers put into their games, the things that are designed to make you mad, the things that are designed to make the game just a little bit harder, just to catch you off guard, to get under your skin, to make your playtime just a little bit longer.
It really feels like they set you up to fail. And I think we can start with some of those more famous, or I should say infamous, rage-inducing mechanics. Top of the list, I would say those stupid, unskippable cutscenes before a boss fight. They're fine the first time, and then the next time they're a little bit annoying, and then every other time after that, it just makes you want to turn off the game, because why do I have to watch this same 30-second cutscene every single time I have failed to kill this boss?
I love watching cutscenes for the games because I'm like, the animation's sick, right? And I'm like, oh my god, this is a badass boss I'm about to have to fight. But if I just got wiped by the boss, I'm not trying to spend extra time looking at the boss. I need to get my get back right away. I'm not trying to spend every second I have watching this guy. I said, I'm mad, dude. You're it. I got to fight you. I'm not watching you do whatever your cool dance is or whatever the heck.
It's like rubbing it in your face at a certain point. I don't want to see you again. I'm trying to kill you. I'm trying to assassinate you right now. And I'm not interested in watching this cutscene a 50th time, reminding me how many times I've failed.
I have a pretty prominent example from recently. Elden Ring is incredibly hard, and there's one boss in there that's, I think people are calling her the hardest boss. Her name's Melania. Took me hours to beat. She's got a cutscene when you start talking to her. Like the very first time you see her, she's got an intro cutscene, and then every time after that, you just kind of walk into the room. You're just like, yeah, okay, we know the rest. But she has a halfway cutscene where you get her down to half health, and she's got a whole nother cutscene where she grows these butterfly wings, and it's gross and nasty, and I hate it because she always kills you right after, and she does this big explosion attack. Awful. But that was the biggest thing for me was I have got to figure out how to skip this cutscene. And I can't remember if I did or not, but it was rough having to see that every time.
Yeah, it's sort of a little bit humbling. I guess I don't have a perfect example for that. That sounds really frustrating. Definitely not the kind of person who will spend hours on one game. I like the more relaxed farming or games that just let you pause and eat a couple health potions and then get back into the fight. But when I was younger, I made a very stupid mistake. I used to play Super Mario Galaxy a lot. It was my favorite game. Love it. I still go back to it every summer because it's sort of like a little, I don't know, it's very nostalgic.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you could skip cutscenes. I was a youngster. I was 10 years old and a novice to video games, and I didn't know that was a thing. So I played the entire game. I would, be killed, and I would have to go back and fight bosses again, stupid Bowser. And I just didn't know that I could skip those cutscenes, so they were so frustrating, especially to me as a 10-year-old. And oh my gosh, I hated that so much. And then going back to play it, I was like, why was I so frustrated with these boss fights? Finally realizing that you can, in fact, skip the cutscenes in Super Mario Galaxy if you guys didn't know.
I have played a lot of Mario games, and I don't think I've ever skipped a cutscene, but that may just be because of a lack of trying, thinking that's just a Nintendo thing to do, that you can't skip cutscenes. I didn't know that was even a thing, so I'm definitely taking that into account next time I'm playing Mario.
I'm glad that this is general knowledge now. I can inform people. From my pain, you can learn. You're listening to episode 2 of Rage Quitters Anonymous. If you're enjoying the episode, feel free to hit that like button and give us a subscribe. We hope to see you soon.
So beyond just those unskippable cutscenes, awful cutscenes in the middle of boss fights, the next little thing that I've got is bad checkpoint systems that are like incredibly unforgiving. You die, you're set all the way back, you get through this really, really difficult section, you take 1 ounce of damage past that, and you've got to restart the whole thing. Hollow Knight has an infamous DLC they added called the Path of Pain, and it is this nasty obstacle course where you take 1 hit and you get sent all the way back, and it's like 5, 6, 10 minutes of like frame perfect inputs, and it is nasty. I've never tried it, and I'm not going to. I refuse to, but I've seen it, and that looks like a nasty headache.
Bad checkpoint systems, I really do prefer games where you can just save at any point.
Right.
That's where I really like those games that are just not so hard on the player. But yeah, definitely those like Red Dead Redemption where there's just like certain parts where, you know, like it's so frustrating when you get to where you know you're almost about to reach the last checkpoint and then you die and you have to go all the way back to the beginning and you were so close.
Yeah, like final boss fights are notorious for that. As it is, you have to get through the entire boss fight, and then there's a second stage, and then sometimes they have a third stage, but you can't die anywhere. You got to restart the entire boss fight.
It's so frustrating.
Or it's like not necessarily a checkpoint system, but Elden Ring also has this system where if you die, you lose your money right where you're at, and the only way to get it back is to go back to where you died and pick it up while like whatever boss killed you is fighting you. That hurts. That feels bad because I'm sitting here trying to not die to the boss that just wiped the floor with me to get my money back, and instead I could just have my money to begin with, and we're not having an issue. Elden Ring, I don't know why we need to do that, but here we are.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that last time actually.
I think I did.
But you know, I go back and forth with games like that where it's like, well, you know, I mean, the point of the game is the difficulty. So, like, would the game be as fun because it wouldn't be as challenging if we didn't have that function?
I couldn't tell you, but I mean, I don't know. I'd like to have a lot of my money. I tell you what.
That's true. In the moment, I feel like it's really, you know, you're like, why is it? This is so stupid. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think it sort of contributes to the game itself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. The game wouldn't be as fleshed out, or you'd probably move through it a little too fast. Still, that is just incredibly frustrating, me dying. And then on the chance that I don't get to my money before the boss gets me again, and it's all gone entirely. So that's a rage quit moment for me. Absolutely. 100%.
Definitely. There's also that kind of like fake difficulty. The game makes things harder because they're not improving the AI, or they don't add complexity. So instead of just throwing more enemies at you or like making their health bars really strong, they don't add anything that makes the game more interesting to play. They just sort of cheap out.
I gotcha.
Making it harder in a way that's not fun.
Yeah, there are 2 games that I can remember playing that do this really bad. The first is Destiny 2. I love Destiny 2. But when you get into the really, really hard content, it's nothing but just enemies with pumped up health, and they do a lot more damage. And it's not really just harder enemies. They hurt more, and it's not like, why am I getting one shot from across the map? What is this? And they take forever to kill. I love Destiny 2, though there's ways around it. However, there's this one game I played, it's called The Division, back when that came out. I could not for the life of me understand this game. It's a bunch of normal dudes running around New York City, but they're human beings, but they take 2 entire clips from a gun to kill. It's like, what are we doing? I'm sitting here shooting this guy for 20 minutes. He's got nothing special about him. There's no sci-fi in this game. Nothing special about him. He just doesn't die. And I put that game down so fast. That sucked. That was not fun.
You're really passionate about this game. I could tell. You're really angry about it. But no, I totally, like, when it doesn't make any sense that this thing or this character is so powerful. That's right. What, like, it's narratively to the game. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why is this one, you know, like, it shouldn't be more difficult than another enemy that I've encountered before, but for some reason this one's like absurdly strong, right. And it makes you think like, am I doing something wrong?
Right. And I can kind of give Destiny 2 some forgiveness. Like, that's a heavy sci-fi space game, and there's a bunch of aliens and weird magic powers everywhere all over the place. I can give it some leeway story-wise. Okay, I understand why this guy's a little tough. But the Division don't even, like, they're just normal dudes, some plain Jane dudes running around. Anyways, I couldn't handle that game when I was playing that. It was not fun.
Did you know you can listen to your favorite podcast on Spotify and YouTube? Just search Rage Quitters Anonymous to listen on your favorite streaming platform. We hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. bad game mechanics wise, I would say Dark Souls 2. I feel like we're going to talk about Dark Souls a lot in this podcast, but that's like widely regarded as maybe the worst. It's everybody's, least favorite of the three. And there was a fourth one that came out actually that I haven't played. The reason that it was so frustrating, and I didn't know this until my sister, who is a computer science major, explained it to me years later, but it was because of something called iframes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way that she explained it, they were dependent on the character stats instead of on specific moments. So like, if you don't know, iframes are basically specific frames within the game where the player is invincible.
Right.
So for Dark Souls, it's like whenever you're rolling or whenever you're doing a certain movement, if you time that correctly, the enemy that's attacking you won't cause you any damage, and that's about, building up a skill set in the game. So the more you play it and the more you practice, the better you get at timing, and then the more competitive you are as a player.
Okay.
But for Dark Souls 2, it was tied to your stats instead of how long you played the game. So it wasn't about building a rhythm. It was like, your stats suck because you're a beginning player. So like starting out, it's going to be extremely frustrating, and that's why I just quit that game. I never played it again. Yeah, because you feel like you're timing everything right, but you're just not powerful enough because the game hasn't allowed you to build up your stats yet. You just haven't had time. Yeah. Nasty. So it's a silly function that made a lot of people upset. It made me upset so much so that I didn't really want to finish the game at all because it was solely the statistics in the game,
just
the stats in the game.
In the game.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to survive this boss because you're at the beginning of the game.
Exactly. Like you had to improve in a certain way and not just in your abilities.
That is awful. Really, so even then, like that even begs the thought, like, what if you are playing Dark Souls 2 and you're at the beginning of the game and you get so good at that dodge roll mechanic with the tiny window, by the time you get to the point of the game where you have the ability to increase your timing, it doesn't matter anyways. You're already good at nailing the timing. What's the point?
And then your rhythm is off. So like your timing is off. So if the timing then changes because your stat improves, then the rhythm of how you've played the game changes, and then you're no longer good at dodging.
Right.
And that's the way that she described it, and that's definitely the way that's why I was so frustrated to play.
Ew. So that, even take it a little bit further, you could say like if your dodge window gets larger, then you can get lazier with it and still be okay. And so that's kind of like an ego inflating moment. You're like, oh, I'm all of a sudden really good at this game now when I wasn't yesterday, but I'm just so much better now. But then you can restart the game and you're just awful again. You're right back to where you started.
Yeah, that's so true. Like you can't go back to the beginning and then play it more thoroughly and as a more competitive player. You're stuck with the stats that you have as a beginning player. So you're not rewarded for all the time that you spend playing.
That just sounds like an awful mechanic. Not even like beyond just the rage-inducing parts of it. Just it sounds like a nightmare to create.
Well, I'm not a video game developer, but I don't know why you would choose to do that.
Just keep it one way and keep it the whole way through the rest of the game.
Yeah. Why do you have to change it? I don't know. It really felt emotionally damaging to me as a child because it made me not want to play any more Dark Souls games or anything really difficult like that.
I can't really say Dark Souls was a child's game, but as far as that goes.
Fair point. If a game mechanic is making you feel like it's your fault when the system is really just busted or stupid, like we talked about, rage quit. Proudly. Maybe not like rage quit, like throw your controller across the room, but like just, stop.
Just, set it down. Just walk away, touch some grass, as they say, just hold your head high, understand that the game made you a little mad, sure, but you didn't quite give it the full satisfaction of breaking your controller into 3, 4, 15 pieces, set it down. Go play Stardew Valley for a bit. Great farming game. Have you ever broken your controller into 15 pieces? No, I have not broken a controller into 15 pieces. However, I have accidentally broken like 2 headsets. Okay, no, one was an accident. The other one, I did throw it. However, it was one of those like analog headsets that you plug in your controller, and if you get into a habit of setting your controller down quite aggressively, it might rip the jack out of the headphones and break it entirely, so you can't plug it back in. Just hypothetically, that's something that could happen. Not that I would know much about that, but there was another time where I genuinely was playing a game. I was getting a little tilted. I'll be upfront about that, but I actually dropped my controller and it pulled the headset jack out too. I went to my mom. I was like, "Hey, I broke it, but I didn't mean to this time." And they did not believe me. You had a bad reputation at that point. I did. I was crying wolf at some point. Rage quitting ways. But you know what? Whenever that happens, just try to reset your soul with some chill vibes, some farming peace. Go play Stardew Valley. Love that game. Unironically, that game is so much fun, but that stresses me out too because of the timing system in there. If you don't get things right the first time, you end up ruining an entire day. And we can get onto a whole tangent about how somehow I find a way to rage quit at Stardew Valley, but let's not get there right now.
Yeah, that can definitely be a subject of a future episode, maybe. Those chill games like The Sims or something that's not supposed to like
the chill games that aren't supposed to make you rage, and yet Cameron Castle still finds a way to do it.
What is Cameron going to break his controller about next time?
Yeah, you got to stay tuned to figure that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next time with even more chaos, stories, salty gamer energy.
Don't forget to follow, leave a review, and send us your worst game mechanic nightmare stories.
Seriously, we need to hear them. Misery loves company, and I need to know what I relate to, because just spitballing off the top of my head, I'm missing things. There's definitely some things I just can't think of right now. Send us in. Let us hear it.
Yeah, we love to hear y'all's stories so we know what to talk about in the future. So until next time. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Rage Quitters Anonymous. Big shout out to our amazing editors and scriptwriters for their hard work and passion. This wouldn't be possible without them.
You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and check out our website through the links in our bio. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
We'll catch you next time in our next episode. Until then, have an awesome, rage-free week.